Another Panthers loss, 19-16 to the Giants.
Yep.
Graham Gano's Giants. Julian Council of Locked On Panthers. You're going to have to talk about this every single day on the Locked On podcast. So, Julian, is the conversation right now more about the Panthers' 0-2 start to this season, or does it go back to last season, and is it about Matt Rhule and this team being 0 for its last 9?
Yeah, dating back to last season, they've lost 9 straight, and they say the numbers never lie, Nick, about the Carolina Panthers, particularly for head coach Matt Rhule, as he's now 10-25 in his 35 games as the Panthers head coach. And in those games, 1-25 when the Carolina Panthers allow 17-plus points. And in their last 19 games, they've led in 17 of those games, and their record 5-12. The numbers have not been good. The conversation all week long that I'm going to have on the show, that you're going to have, and what all the people watching us right now are going to have is, why is Matt Rhule still the head coach here in Carolina after last season? A lot of people wanted him gone. I was one of the people who was okay with bringing back Matt Rhule year one. Not a ton of expectations. Yet last year you thought maybe they take a step forward. I think they did it in some aspects like defense, but overall win-loss record, didn't really see it. That's going to be the conversation of how much longer does Matt Rhule have, if really at all, because David Tepper, wild card, have no idea what he might do here after watching the Panthers lose their 9th straight game.
All right, well, these 2 games have been close, and there are 15 more games. So, I mean, what would it even accomplish to do it after 2 weeks? Or are you just saying it's kind of trending in that direction for an early exit? It's
trending in that direction. Someone like me who has been fine with bringing back Matt Rhule, like I brought the numbers to you, it's hard to really have an argument for why Matt Rhule should continue. I thought the staff changes this past offseason would make a lot of sense for the Panthers to take that step forward. But so far, offensively, with Ben McAdoo, that hasn't worked out. Steve Wilkes has come and work with the secondary. He's someone who could be an interim candidate. But possibly, is that the right decision? I don't know how the Panthers getting rid of Matt Rhule after 2 games would help the team moving forward in the final 15. And if they get rid of him after 2, then David Tepper really didn't believe in Matt Rhule in the first place. I don't know what kind of message that sends to the rest of the league, especially prospective coaches who see the salary that Matt Rhule is given, the amount of time is given in 7 years, and then after 35 games, David Tepper deciding, actually, let me move off of this guy and then bring somebody else in. So I don't think it would be a better situation for Carolina to get rid of Matt Rhule, but certainly what's happening right now is not working for Rhule or the Carolina Panthers. And, of course, you, the viewer back home.
All right, let's dig into this particular game and this particular loss. Offensively, well, Panthers fumbled the first 2 times they got the football. But after that, it got the ball to Christian McCaffrey. He had over 100 yards, got it to DJ Moore for a touchdown. Baker had no picks. Terribly situationally. But what do you walk away from this game thinking about the offense?
2 for 12 on 3rd down. I feel the same way it felt a week ago. It's still going to be a work in progress. When you look at this offense where Baker Mayfield was not here for OTAs and minicamp, when they went through a quarterback competition, I understand there's guys in that locker room that wanted to see Sam Darnold get an opportunity. It did not help the Panthers offense find that cohesion that they needed to have last week and now even this week. They've only had 4 weeks together where it's been Baker and the first team offense. Thinking about guys like Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, who also didn't spend a lot of time with each other during the preseason and training camp. It's going to be a work in progress. The hope was after the final 35 minutes where Matt Rhule said, hey, they were one of the top 5 offenses in the league. They did not pick up where they left off of. They were awful again in the first half, and even in the second half where they were 0 for 5 on 3rd down, weren't great. It's going to be a work in progress for that offense. The hope is, though, that the defense can carry them, and for the most part, the defense was pretty good on Sunday.
Yeah, that stat about 1-25 allowing 17 or more points. I mean, if you give up 19 points, you should probably win the game, and they've just been so bad in that department. Defensively, let's stay there. I mean, pretty good against the run. Everybody asked them to clean it up. They pretty much did. Got pressure, 3 sacks. What more did you want to see?
I don't know how much I can really ask of this unit. Matt Rhule has said in the past that when they needed to get a stop, the defense hasn't really done that. And I'm sure plenty of fans out there have not appreciated that, thinking that Matt Rhule is trying to blame the defense for the Panthers' loss when the offense during his tenure has been pretty anemic and borderline just terrible most of the time, whether it's been under Joe Brady or Jeff Nixon and now under Ben McAdoo through 2 games. Defensively, it would be nice to see them be able to get that stop later on in that game against Daniel Jones. But really, takeaways. Matt Rhule talked about going from good to great. One of those was red zone defense, where they were one of the worst teams in the league last year, or so far, at least today, they were 1 for 3. And those first 2 stops after those turnovers, a quick change. They always talk about that defensively. They kept Carolina in the offense in that game in the first half. But you need to get takeaways. They have not gotten a takeaway so far through the first 2 weeks of the season. That can maybe put your offense in a better situation, especially an offense that seems to be having a tough time getting going until the second half of the game. So that's really all I can ask of this defense, when really there's not much else to ask. Frankie Louvu, 10 tackles, all of them solo, 4 tackles for loss. Brian Burns had 2 sacks. They were really good against the run after Saquon Barkley ran wild against Tennessee. it's not on them today. It certainly is on the offense. And, of course, it all falls to the man up top and Matt Rhule, who I know a lot of y'all do not want here in Carolina much longer.
All right, looking for takeaways? Guess who enters next week? Jameis Winston.
Oh,
we know he
yes.
can cough it up every once in a while. Panthers, they're going to need to do that. Saints, they're feisty, as we saw against the Bucs. Julian Council from Locked On Panthers, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.